Hello everyone, Dragon Craig aka O'Brien. Today I'm going to be going to the cinema again. Yes, today I am seeing Thor Love and Thunder. Yes, this is the fourth Thor movie. I believe this is the beginning of a new Thor trilogy. I would assume so, as Spider-Man for Tom Holland is going to start a new Spider-Man trilogy for him. So I'm guessing Thor Love and Thunder is going to begin a new Thor trilogy for Chris Hemsworth. So, as for my thoughts on the previous Thor movies, I really enjoyed the first Thor. I thought it was a really good movie. The sequel, Thor 2, Thor The Dark World, horrible, dire, the worst MCU film ever. I can't stand it. And Thor Ragnarok is amazing. I actually watched it again last night. Oh my god, I love that movie. It is a fantastic film. So my expectations for Thor Love and Thunder, well, I don't know much about it. I sadly saw a few spoilers on YouTube through my feed, which I'm not going to say just to avoid spoiling it, but yeah, I've had a few spoilers, sadly. So I expect it to be good. I'm going in completely open-minded. I only know a few things from the trailer, but yeah, I'm just going in optimistic and hoping for a good, fun movie. So I'm going with my friend Tig, and yeah, so let's go to the cinema. Thor Love and Thunder was released in 2022 and was directed by Taiki Waititi. It tells the story of Thor who is trying to find his inner peace. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? But he has to go back to action and gather Valkyrie, Korg, and even Jane Foster, who has become the almighty Thor, so they can defeat Gorr the God Butcher from destroying all the gods. So me and my friend Tig, we saw Thor Love and Thunder, and my friend, he thought it was alright. He thought it was good but pretty disappointing. And sadly, I agree. Unfortunately, Thor Love and Thunder isn't quite as good as it could have been. Now, as far as the Thor movies go, it is much better than Thor The Dark World, but it's nowhere near as good as the first Thor or Thor Ragnarok, which is quite a disappointment. As far as Marvel movies goes this year, this is much better. Well, actually, no, I wouldn't say much better. It's slightly better than Doctor Strange 2, as this at least does feel like more what it should have been. But coming after Spider-Man No Way Home, Doctor Strange 2 and Thor Love and Thunder are pretty big step downs. It's not to say this is a bad film. I think it's a decent, enjoyable film, but I didn't think it was great. The storyline was very weak. Yeah, it's not to say it was a bad story, but it could have been a lot more fun. It wasn't that exciting. Some parts in it were quite dull, and it felt a little rushed in a few areas. The pacing could have been improved a bit. The direction wasn't really all that great. I don't know, it lacked that fun to it. Like, I understand, it had to take itself seriously, but I don't know, it didn't feel engaging. It just didn't feel interesting, and the story, and a lot of it felt so simple. It just felt like it was kind of predictable. There's a twist going on with Jane Foster. They throw a hint in, and it's so predictable. So there were a good few points in the story that were quite predictable, and I was kind of disappointed. Not to say it's bad to be predictable, but I just found the direction and the execution and the writing of the story pretty weak. Yeah, I have to say, the story of the film is pretty weak, unfortunately. The special effects, CGI, cinematography, and action scenes are absolutely phenomenal, though. I was really impressed by the action scenes in the film, especially the climax. The climax was pretty epic. And the characters, while it's nice to see the main ones come back, some of them are quite weak. Thor is still the same character as he usually is, but it is nice to see him again since Endgame. Korg is pretty funny and very likeable like he was in the previous movies. Valkyrie isn't quite as good as she was in Ragnarok. In fact, she doesn't even do as much as she could, but she's still pretty decent enough. It's been a long time since Jane Foster appeared in the MCU, and while it's nice to see her again 9 years after the second movie, she ain't all that great. She's just not that interesting in this movie, and the stuff they do with her is very predictable, as they give away a hint, and that just gives away what happens to her. Gore the God Butcher is the main antagonist of the film, and while Christian Bale does a fantastic performance, you can tell he's having a lot of fun playing this character, the character himself sucked. He has no character development, and he's only in the movie for a few scenes. Brilliantly performed, but written terribly. So yeah, well again it's nice to see Thor and the gang. The villain was just awful. Awful. The movie does have a pretty good music score. The music is actually really good. So yeah, Thor Love and Thunder is a good movie, but could have been a lot better. Overall, sadly, Thor Love and Thunder is similar to how I feel about Doctor Strange 2. Good, but pretty disappointing. It suffers a very weak story and some pretty weak characters, but it does at least have some fantastic action scenes, solid music, and some amazing effects in CGI. Other than that, though, this is such a step down after Thor Ragnarok. I'm going to give Thor Love and Thunder a 7 out of 10. So yeah, that's it for my review for Thor Love and Thunder. Stay tuned for my next review. Until then, everyone, take care. Thank you all for watching, and skadoosh.